So question one, how much do you know about native plants? Um, about 40% says know some, 20% know a little, 40% don't know any. So after tonight's webinar, hopefully you will get some more knowledge about native plants. Second question, how interested are you in building a native garden at your house? 40% says very interested and 60% says somewhat interested. So this webinar is perfect for you to learn how to build a native garden at your house. Question number three, what do you currently have in your garden, in your yard? Um, almost 80% um, is only having lawn, and 20% says other. Question number four, how satisfied are you with your current yard? Uh, it's 50-50. 50% says somewhat satisfied, and 50% says not satisfied. And question number five, what is your main reason for converting your lawn? Um, one person said, I want to save water for the environment. And 50% says, want to have an attractive garden. And 25% says other. And question number six, what help do you need the most when considering a lawn conversion? So 100%, it says the percentage is kind of weird here, but here it says 100% design, and then, oh, okay, I see, it's multiple choice. Okay, 100% says it's, the design, and then 50% says installation, and the other 25% says cost and budgeting. And the last question, what do you want to have your lawn conversion? When do you want to have your lawn conversion project? 20% says in 2 months, 25% says 6 months, and 50% says in a year. So it's in the near future. Okay, so I'm gonna stop sharing the poll answer. I'm gonna share my screen. Uh, Here. Okay. Okay. So good evening, everyone. Welcome. I'm Claire from the city of Sunnyvale, and I'll be moderating tonight's program. Along with our co-sponsor Baska and our instructor Xiaoqi Tao, I want to welcome all of you to our class and happy Earth Day. Before we begin the program, I'm going to provide some guidelines for successful participation in the webinar. First, all attendees are muted by default to reduce the background noise to the presentation. For tonight's class, we ask that you save any questions that you might have for the end of the presentation. If you would like to ask a question, you can do so in two ways. First option is to use the raised hand feature. I will then call upon you and unmute you to ask your question. And second option is to type your question in the Q&A. I will then read the questions to the instructor or respond directly in the chat. And this illustration shows where you can find the raise hand button and the Q&A button. I'd also like to note that this webinar is being recorded and will be made available on Baska website, and I'll send a follow-up email within a week to send you the link of the recording. Now that we have that out of the way, I would like to share a little background on Baska's landscape education program. Baska is a special district that represents the interests of 26 cities, water districts, and private water companies, all of which purchase wholesale water from the San Francisco Regional Water Supply. Baska member agency collectively serve over 1.8 million residents and 40,000 businesses in San Mateo, Santa Clara, and Alameda counties. Baska's goal is to ensure a reliable supply of high quality water at a fair price for our agencies and their customers. Consistent with that goal, BASCA provides a regional water conservation program to support our agencies in improving water use efficiency. The landscape education program is one element of that conservation program. Um, while we have made significant strides in water use efficiency in the past decade, there is still more room for improvement. Outdoor water use represents the single largest untapped opportunity for water conservation in the Basque surface area. Outdoor water use reduction through the use of water efficient plant and innovative techniques can help conserve water and ensure future water supply needs of our community are met. A few highlights on additional conservation programs that may be of interest to you. Valley Water has several ring barrel rebates option. You can get up to 35 for installing a ring barrel, 50 cents a gallon for installing a cistern, and $1 per square foot of a rain garden. Bosca has a newly redesigned landscape rebate program, which provides rebates to customers of participating with water agencies for replacing water-intensive lawn space with water-efficient landscaping. Bosca also has the I Heart Great Water program, which gives residents up to $200 in rebates for connecting a washing machine to a great water irrigation system. Next, there's the Basca Lawn Be Gone rebate, which gives residents various rebates for transforming their lawns and making them more water efficient. Another program by Basca is the Smart Controller program, which provides instant rebates and heavily discounted pricing on purchase of the Retro 3 irrigation controller. This controller can be operated on your smartphone and normally retails for $280. Through this program, customers of participating water agency can purchase a controller for $100 plus tax. For more information or to find out which of these programs are available in your area, visit bayareaconservation.org. The city of Sunnyvale also encourages you to participate in rebates program offered by Valley Water. Valley Water offers $2 per square foot of rebates for replacing your lawns and plants that require a lot of water with drought-tolerant plants or permeable hardscape. We also offer up to $200 in rebates for properties that connect a closed washer to a gray water irrigation system. In order to qualify for these rebates, please make sure you apply first. A common mistake is that residents get excited about the rebates and start transforming their lawn before making sure that they qualify. Also, are you looking for compost? Free compost and mulch are available for Sunnyvale residents at the Smart Station. Stop by Monday through Sunday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. with your own shovel and container. Additional information on water-wise gardening can be found on southbaygreengardens.org, where they also have some landscape designs and templates as well. It is a great way to get some ideas before you go ahead and apply for those rebates. Um, Here is a snapshot of the Water-Wise Gardening website. It provides resources to support residents in water-efficient landscape renovations and management. Resources include a gallery of gardens with plants identified, plant selection tool, and even a watering calculator. If you enjoyed tonight's program, we invite you to check out our upcoming webinar classes. You can view the full schedule and register at bayareaconservation.org. If you're interested in staying up to date with Sunnyvale's Environmental Service Department, make sure to subscribe or follow us on social media. Feel free to scan the QR codes or search using the green text provided. We share tips and tricks for living sustainably in Sunnyvale, as well as rebate information and upcoming events. If you have any question about rebates programs, please contact Valley Water for more information. Now I have the pleasure of introducing our instructor, Xiaoqi Tao. Xiaoqi is a landscape designer and founder of waterefficientgardens.com, an online landscape design business that excels in high water and native garden designs and low water and native garden designs. She is a sustainability-driven landscape design pro committed to developing attractive, water-efficient, and ecosystem-friendly landscaping designs and solutions. Her work has been featured in the statewide Save Our Water campaign, Mercury News, and many local papers around the Bay Area. Prior to Water Efficient Gardens, Xiaoqi worked over 10 years in the high-tech industry in Silicon Valley. She received her Certificate of Achievement in Environmental Horticulture and Design from Foothill College, an MBA from the Anderson School at UCLA. Xiaoqi, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm going to stop sharing so that you can take it away.
Thank you, Claire. Thank you, everyone, for joining tonight's talk. Can everyone see the slides?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So today we are going to talk about long conversion. So from the poll numbers that Claire just shared with us, it sounds like all of you are all very interested in this topic. It is a interesting topic and also a very important one. As we will see in the next, in my talk, a beautiful garden, it's not just beautiful, but also can save water and also help restore the biodiversity for our environment. So we are going to look at some long conversion examples. These are all the projects that I have designed and helped install before. We will then understand why these gardens we mainly use California native plants and why is that important, and then the benefits. At the end, we are going to have the Q&A, and you're free to ask any questions. Welcome to ask any questions. So here are a couple examples of the long conversion projects. This is a garden, a backyard in Sunnyvale. So this project we did about 2 years ago, and that was how it looked 2 years ago. It was long, and as you can see it's all dead and brown. And this is how it looks now. Actually, I took this just last week. I received a text last week from the owner, and she was just happy to share with me how the garden looks like today. So I went out to her house and took these photos. Perfect timing. So as you can see, it's a perfect long conversion project to show how it is like. Yeah, this is a couple more photos of the garden. Okay, this is another example. So as you can see, it's all actually dead weeds. The homeowner said it used to give her so much headache because whenever she looked out from the window. So this is the conversion. And as you can see, it's filled with all these beautiful California native plants. Third example, again, from the lawn to this beautiful garden here. This is one more photo. This was taken in July. So this was finished in, I think, in winter, about February. Anyhow, so this is how it looked in spring and how it looked in summer when all these bugweeds, how they looked, all these native bugweeds. Another one. So yeah, the owner, he told me he's from Arizona. So he would like to have more kind of like desert, Southwest kind of look. So that's why we chose these succulents but still these are all California native plants. And this is also one in Sunnyvale. Actually, this is the photo that was used for the tonight's announcement. So all these are California native plants. Okay, so we have seen all these examples of the lawn conversion. So what is lawn conversion? It is to change from the lawn to water efficient native landscaping. So the important thing here is that they are low water or water efficient, and also they mainly use native plants. You might ask what are California native plants and why is that important? Well, California native plants are plants that are here, that were here before the Europeans set foot on this land. They are plants that are native to this land. If you look at all these beautiful super bloom photos, that is a California native plants. One thing very few people know, but it's true, is that we have the most native plant species in all the states, in all the 50 states. We have over 55,000 different types of plants, many of which are found nowhere else on Earth. So California, it's very special in this regard that we boast of the most native plant species. No other state comes close to that. On the other hand, despite all this huge treasure we have, it faces very serious threats to its populations. So it's like we are facing two faces of the same fact. One, we have this huge treasure. On the other hand, it's facing pretty serious threat, and we need to do something about it. Biodiversity hotspot is the region. There are 36 of them currently in the whole wide world. And California is one of such a biodiversity hotspot. So you can see right here, it's called California Forestic Province. So what is a biodiversity hotspot? To qualify for such a hotspot, a region must meet these two criteria. One, it needs to have at least 1,500 vascular plants as endemics, meaning there's no other, the plants you cannot find anywhere else except in that region. Say the plants that we have here, they cannot find anywhere else outside of California. So that's criteria number one. And it must be more than 15, at least 1,500. The second criteria is that it has less than 30% of its original natural vegetation. In other words, it must have lost more than 70% of its original. So it means that one, it's very abundant and it's not replaceable by any other place. On the other hand, it's under very serious, it's in very dire situation, meaning it has lost more than 70%, and it's very seriously threatened. So if a region can meet these two criteria, then it's defined as one of the biodiversity hotspots. As you can see, California, it meets these two. And pretty much the whole state, except this eastern area and part of Mexico, is a hotspot. That means that, on the other hand, we can be very proud that we have such great resource for native plants. On the other hand, our task is also very is a very heavy one, in that we need to do everything we can to make sure we are not losing more than the current 70% that we have already lost. We only have less than 30% left. And if we don't do anything, then we will not even have that 30% anymore. So we also, it's almost kind of like with great power, you also need, comes great responsibility. So this is a California native manzanita. So I took this photo at Mount Diablo. So if you go out to the parks to do the hike, you can easily see all these native plants. So that's one example. And this is a garden that uses the manzanita right here. This is called silver lupine. So you can see how tough it is in this like totally arid rock. Before I took this photo, right, I would not believe a plant can really survive in such an environment, let alone bloom like this. But it did. So it tells us how tough our native plant is and how beautiful they can be. So this is a garden that uses the same silver lupine right here. Our state flower, the golden poppy. So they are all here, filled out this corner. It's a little bit late, so they are closed, but this is the golden poppies. And some of the golden poppies here. Here is another garden that shows the use of the these native plants right here. So what's so special about these native plants versus many other plants we know about? Number one, most of them are low water plants. So when we say low water plants, exactly what do we mean, right? What's the standard to measure against? So the universal standard that's adopted in the landscaping trade is this, we call it WUCOS, the Water Use Classification of Landscape Species. That's the work of UC Davis. So they looked at all the plants in all the in the state, and then they used this ETO to measure how much water each plant will need. And from there, they categorize them into 5 different categories. So ETO is just the sum of the evaporation and then and transpiration. So if the ETO of a certain plant is high, then they will put that in the high bucket. If it's low, and then they put it in the low bucket. So that's how it is like. Everything is compared against a reference, compare against the actively growing, well-watered grass, 120 millimeter in height. So they use the grass that's well-watered grass, and set that as 100%. Its ETO is set as 100%. And every other plant is compared against that. From there, you can see that the water need for grass is really the highest. And then all the other plants are used to compare against that. If these plants, the percentage is from 70 to 90%, meaning it's close to what the grass needs, then it's categorized as high. If it's only 10 to 30%, it's categorized as low, and then less than 10%, very low. So that's how we know whether a certain plant is high water plant or low water plant. The silver lupine we just saw, as you can see, it's very low water usage. So it right here. So it's very low. So that's how it can survive. The roots must go really deep to get that very limited water in this on this rock. But just that, because its water need is so low, so just even that little bit of water is enough for it to survive and bloom like this. And that's why if we use it in in our garden, it also only needs less than 10% of the water where a grass or lawn would need. I could not find the in the same database. I could not find the grass of our normal lawn, but this is the grass I could find. As you can see, it's a moderate water usage. Actually, and most of our lawns, they would be at least moderate and high or high water usage. So first, we talk about the native plants. They themselves are low water plants. Then another factor also makes them very water efficient because they are adapted to our climate. This is the precipitation pattern for Sunnyvale. So as you can see, we get most of our rainfalls in winter and spring, but almost nothing in summer. So this actually is it's called a Mediterranean climate. Only 4% in the world has this kind of weather pattern. In other areas, it's vice versa, where you receive most of the rains in summer, spring and summer, but relatively lower precipitation in winter. Because of this pattern, our native plants, they are adapted to it. They will, when the rainwater comes in winter, they will wake up from their dormancy and start to grow aggressively and bloom. But then when it goes to summer, then they will stop growth, and a lot of them will actually go into dormancy as a way to conserve water. So because they are adapted to this pattern, they don't need any additional water during summertime. The natural is enough to sustain them. So that's how we see the super blooms. That's how we see all these native plants bloom when spring or winter comes, that the natural rainfall is enough for them. So their water demand matches perfectly with this curve, and you don't need to give them any supplemental water during summer, other seasons of the year. So these are some examples of the native plants that all these plants have all of them have very low water need as categorized by WUCOS. So manzanita is one of them. The artemisia, western rabbit. Actually, they are right. I think it's at the end of their blooming season. But if you go out, you may still see some of them with their very beautiful, bright pink flowers. Mountain mahogany, bladder pot, coffee berry, flannel bush, silver lupine, we just talked about. White sage, and peyote mint. Again, all these plants, they are the very low water usage category. So if you use these plants in your garden, that means you only need a fraction, less than 10% of the water that a longbill will need. Now we looked at these native plants and what are so special about them. Then let's talk about why should we replace the lawn with these native plants. First and foremost, you can save water, right? Because again, the natural rainfall is enough for them. You don't need to give it extra water. The lawns, on the other hand, they need additional water because our natural rainfall, especially during summertime, is not enough. They need water to thrive, to live, and also to keep it look green. For a lawn to look lush and green, it needs at least 1 inch of water every week, or about 4 inches of water every month. In our local area here, local climate here, only a couple months will meet that kind of like 4 inches per month rainfall. In the other times, then that's when we just need to give it irrigation. Then this gap, as you can see, makes it that it really takes a lot of water. Nationwide, outdoor landscaping accounts for half of our total water usage. So it's a very big water use. And because of that, outdoor water use, it's really the #1 opportunity to save water. The other indoor usage, as you can see here, they are in no comparison to outdoor landscaping watering, mainly for the lawns. Some of you might ask, how about other drought tolerant plants versus native plants? Are they equal, or can we just use drought tolerant plants in our gardens? So first, I would say yes, to use drought tolerant plants definitely is better than use lawns in terms of water usage. But still, if we have the option, native plants is still preferred. If you look at these two plants, these two trees, this is the eastern rabbit, and this is the western rabbit that's native to us. Eastern rabbit, as its name indicated, it's from native to East Coast. So eastern rabbit is also a native, it's also a Jiaotaran plant. But because it's not native to our region, if you still say if this is the what the grass needs, and this is what the plants like eastern rabbit needs, so, it's lower than what the grass needs. But because it's not from our region, so in summer you still need to give it irrigation. So that means that it still will need more water than native plants like Western rabbit. So that's why we still would prefer to use a native in our garden. It also has another huge benefit for the supporting the biodiversity that I'm going to talk about in 1 second. So did the native gardens really save water? We have two actual use cases that can prove that. So this is another backyard garden in Santa Clara. So we changed that to this native garden here. And we look at the water bill, the before and after, the household water usage decreased by 50%. It's just, it's for the whole household's water. The whole household's water decreased by 50%. But if you look at the indoor and outdoor uses, right? The indoor uses like to bathe, to cook, those you can pretty much say they don't change. They are pretty much a constant. So that decrease must come, most of that must come from the outdoor because that's the one that changes with the garden. Because of that, you can pretty much guess the water usage for the garden or the outdoor, actually it's more than 50%, more like 70 to 80%. So that's the one actual proof. This is another garden, also in Santa Clara. So we changed from this lawn to this garden right here. And the water usage increased by 56%. Okay, along with the water saving, another huge benefit, as important as the water saving, is biodiversity. We saw in the previous slides that we are one of the hotspots, the biodiversity hotspots, and we already lost 70% of our nature, original vegetation. One example, and we are continuing to lose it. So one example is the Western monarch butterfly. As you can see from this graph, we lost from 230,000 counts in Pismo Beach, the sanctuary, to about only 22,000 30 years later. I actually went to Pismo Beach about last month, 3 weeks ago. Actually, the count last year was 16,000. So it's really going really down. And it says very clearly there that if it continues, it will go extinct in the next several decades. That means our children or children's children would not know what could not see a monarch butterfly anymore. So this is how dire the situation is. But we can help these monarch butterflies by planting native millweeds in our gardens. So this is the narrow leaf millweed. It's one of the only 2 or 3 native millweeds that the monarch butterflies can use as food. So they can't survive without these native millweeds. But if you plant these native millweeds, they will come. And I took this photo in the last garden that I just showed in Santa Clara. So it's about right here. So after just 1 year, they grew to be this tall. And that's how when I went to visit and I saw this monarch butterfly. So I designed no less than 20 gardens with all planted with native millweeds. And without fail, every homeowner, they all told me that they saw the monarch butterfly. So that's how urgent the situation is and how much help we can provide to the wildlife like the monarch butterflies. The native plants, they also provide the same food and shelter to other pollinators like the hummingbirds, the bees. Again, they are the biggest help for the biodiversity. A native garden can also capture and reuse rainwater. We can do that by building a rain garden and plant native plants in the rain garden. So a rain garden is such a shallow depression that's connected to a downspout, and you plant the native plants in it. So you can see this video here, that how this native bee is very happily feeding on this native California aster. There are several huge benefits about a rain garden. One, instead of letting the rainwater run off and be wasted, it go back to the soil and recharge the groundwater. And also in the process, it waters these native plants that it provides the food and shelter and habitat to these pollinators. It also reduces the hazard of flash flood during the storm time. Also filter out the pollutants before the water goes back to the underground water. So all in all, it's another big benefit of a native garden. Less maintenance, because you don't need to mow the lawn anymore. That's a huge save for both cost and time. It can also help us combat climate change. The current situation, we are already 2/3 over the threshold of 1.5 degree, the crucial threshold, or even a little bit more than that. This slide was from last year. I think we are even worse than that. All in all, it's just not looking good. And if it's warmer than 1.5 centigrade, the consequences can be really serious. So here in Santa, the sea level, for one thing, will rise. And when that happens, this is how the number of population that will be impacted here in Sunnyvale and Santa Clara. And that's how San Francisco will look like. To stem this trend, we must reduce the carbon by 45% and even more. That's how, if we want to change the trend and avoid all this sea level rise and all these very bad consequences, that's what we need to start doing right now and decrease the carbon by at least 45%. Our water system is a very big and complex one, and it takes a lot of energy and cost to run and operate. As Claire just reviewed in her slides, about, I think, 50%, a pretty high percentage of water here actually is from Sierra Nevada, the snow melt. So as you can see, it's we have this very comprehensive, complex water networks to bring the water to every corner of the state, including here to the Bay Area. One such network is the State Water Project. I don't have the actual number for how much energy it costs to bring water to us to here to the Bay Area. Here, the numbers I have is for Southern California. So basically, it takes 2 to 3% of all the electricity consumed in California to deliver that water to Southern California. So for someone to use water for 4.5 days, the water they use for 4.5 days, it's the same amount of electricity that the household uses during 5 months. So water takes energy to be delivered, to be cleaned, to be treated. When you save water, you can also save energy. You can also reduce the gas use for the mowers. Every year, it consumes 70 million gallons of gas. That adds 22 million tons of carbon to our atmosphere. When we take away all these mowers, then we will also take away 22 million tons of carbon. It will also improve our soil and allow it to absorb more carbon. As you can see, this is a comparison chart of non-natives and natives. Distinction is that the natives all have very deep roots. That's their way of getting water from the soil and survive, as we can guess that silver lupine we just saw. When you have such deep roots, it can really make more pores in the soil and have all these pockets where the soil can store more carbon and keep it there. So when we have a lot of native trees and plants, our soil is also more healthy and can hold and keep more carbon. On top of all that, it can add curb appeal. A beautiful garden can increase property value by something like 10 to 20%. That's based on several studies. It can sell up to 6 weeks faster. So it's definitely, along with the investment in the house itself, it's also an investment. That also is a big investment for your house that you can that's adds value to its to the property. It can reduce our stress, boost our well-being. Everyone will enjoy looking at the garden, make your neighborhood more lively, more beautiful, and be more attractive. The state have a regulation for HOAs that starting January 1st, 2029, all the common areas of properties of whole HOAs, no potable water can be used to irrigate it anymore. In other words, if you live in an HOA and that HOA has a common area and it is a lawn, then it cannot be watered using the city water anymore after 2029. And hopefully the best way to go about it is that those lawn areas can be transformed into the native landscaping before 2029. So that's what we did with this HOA here. It's along here, and we designed a native garden for it. It's one part of the lawn, and there's another part in the front. So altogether, it's about close to 4,000 square feet of lawn that we are transforming. So again, if you are living in a HOA, if they don't know about it, you might bring it to your board and let them know such a regulation. Valley Water say they will fine people. they are going to enforce it. So it's another thing to pay attention to if you live in a HOA. Okay, so we look at how why it is important, what a native garden looks like. Then if you want to know how to do such a conversion project, here are some steps. So first, apply for the long conversion rebate. For Valley Water, these are some steps. First, you will submit an application. It's right here. On the you can find such a link on the Valley Water site. We also help supply rebate application along with our design services. So after the application is submitted, then Valley Water will set up appointment with you, and then they will come on site and do a pre-inspection. After the pre-inspection, after they verify how big the lawn is, then they will send you a notice and say, okay, your lawn qualifies for the rebate, and please send us a plan list for your project, for your conversion project. That's when, if you work with a designer, for example, if you work with us, then we will start the design work with you. We will first ask you to do a style quiz to understand what kind of gardens you like, work with you on the design, and then have the design completed along with a plan list. Then we send this plan list to Valley Water, and after they review it, then they will approve it and send out the notice to proceed. The big requirement for the plan list is that all the plans they must come from the approved list of Valley Water, and when you add them all together, the total coverages must be more than 50% of the lawn area. So for example, this lawn area is 1,000 square feet. Then that plan list must show that all the plants that you select for the project, when you add them all together, they will be more than 50% of 1,000 square feet or more than 500 square feet. So for example, the Western Redbud, its coverage is 79 square feet. That's listed in the Valley Water approved plan list. So theoretically speaking, if you choose, you have 10 Western Redbuds in your garden, then you will meet the criteria. Although, right, we won't have 10, no one will have 10, just have 10 Western Redbuds. For us, when we do the design, we will take a look at everything, have the combination of some trees, some shrubs and perennials. And also we take the care to make sure that you have plants staggered like across the months. So you have one or two or even more flowers across most of the months in the whole year. Okay, so here I just very briefly want to talk about the design process. First, pick the style that you like. So, for example, do you want to have a rain garden? Do you want to have a native garden, a pollinator garden, or succulent garden? Actually, it's a native garden here. So just think about what kind of gardens that you like. Oh, right here. Yeah, and some people they also like veggie gardening. So whether you would consider that, some people they also like boulder gardens where they like all those kind of boulders or rocks in the garden. So yeah, this is when you can have your creativity, and if you work with a designer, then you can tell them your ideas, and they can help design a garden of the style that you like. Then the next one is to select a plant palette. The key here is to choose the low water native plants, like the silver lupine here and many other low water plants that we just talked about. Manzanita is a big favorite native of mine. It has this very beautiful burgundy branches, um, evergreen leaves, um, Artemisia, rabbit. So there are many native plants that we can choose from. We are blessed with the most native plants in all the states. So that's when we can, again, have our creativity and really choose the ones that we like. And then if you work with a designer, then they will help put everything together and then lay out and then have the complete plan list. That will show that when you add them together, if you meet the more than 50% of the long area. So when we design with such a 3D, and it will show you very clearly how your garden will look like after it's completed. So this is a garden that we designed and installed last uh, uh, October 2023. And just after one couple months, that's when the silver lupine blooms like this. It only took 6 months from installation to a garden like this. So nature is really very magical. If you just give it a place to live, if you give it a proper irrigation, then if you just grow and become a beautiful garden. So this is a rain garden in this garden. So it's connected to this downspout, as you can see here, and this is where the rain garden is. And that's how it looks after a rain. And all these native plants are very happy here. And as you can see, they all bloom very nicely. So another garden, another native garden. Um, there are some great resources. The Growing Natives Garden Tour, it just wrapped up last week, but you can always register for next year's. So after you register, they will send you this list of all the native gardens in the Bay Area. And on 2 days, on over one weekend, you can just go to all these gardens and take a look at the garden and all its native plants. And the homeowners usually will host a table, and they are more than happy to talk to you and answer your questions. Calscape, that's the most comprehensive website that has for California native plants, that has most information for most California native plants. It has a lot of information, photos, like how the plant is like, the height, the width, what it's good for, colors, just almost anything you want to know, it has some information there. Dr. Talamy, he's considered a guru for native plants. So he has done many great talks. One of them is Nature's Best Hope. You can just search it on YouTube. If you haven't, I will highly recommend you take a look. He talked about with actual examples. he has a 1 acre yard at his house in the East Coast, Delaware, I think. And he observed firsthand how the native oaks, native trees provide the food to the birds, and how critical the native plants, native trees are to the landscape. So it's a really amazing talk. I highly encourage you to take a look. From there, you will really understand the interdependence of native plants and our environment. So yeah, Dactylomy and Nature's Best Food. I think the same. He also has a book of this title. It's a national bestseller. We have some great native gardens. San Francisco Botanical Garden in Golden Gate Park. Also, the Santa Cruz University of Santa Cruz Botanical Garden. They have a dedicated section for native plants. Also, UC Berkeley Botanical Garden, same there. That a big dedicated area. So here are my contact information. You are more than welcome to contact me, ask any questions about native plants, native gardens. Um, yeah, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you so much, Shelky, for your presentation. It's very amazing that native plants can help save so much water. Like after that conversion in those two example in Santa Clara, like it can save 50% of water. That's really amazing. Um, so if you have any question to Shelky, feel free to ask to type in the chat in the Q&A section, or you can raise your hand and I will unmute you to ask questions. So this is the perfect chance to ask any question you might have. What kind of native species, um, any recommendation? Because from the poll question, it looks like a lot of people is interested in building their own native garden. Okay, so I have a question. Will this be recorded and made available later? The Zoom invitation was for 6:30 p.m., but when I signed on at 6:25, it had already begun. Yeah, I think there was a confusion there with the start time, but the webinar will be recorded and make available later, and I will send that link to all of the register attend participant um, with all the resources that Shelky mentioned today. So I'll send it maybe next early next week. And then another question is plants suited for serpentine soil. Is there any plants that you recommend for serpentine soil?
I need to get back to you on that. Yeah, I know there's some plants that are from that kind of environment and will do well, but I don't have that in right now, so offhand right now. But I can get back to you on that.
Okay. And another question, does the lawn conversion rebate cover conversion to cement?
No. So the criteria is that the whole area needs to convert it to plants, the plant that I described in my presentation, and also permeable hardscaping. Permeable means that the water can permeate. So cement is not one of those surfaces. In my talk, I explained why we want to build rain garden, right? Why we so the basic message is that we want to utilize rainwater. We want it to go back to our soil to water our plants, to recharge the groundwater. Surfaces like a cement, it will just contribute to water runoff and deprive the soil of water. So yeah, if you put in cement in the garden, then it will not receive rebate. Valley Water will take it out from your qualified area.
Okay, and then next comment is a comment saying that Jasper reached reached at Stanford has serpentine soil. Contact them. Okay, and then another question is I know the focus is in Sunnyvale, but does Alameda County, Fremont, have a water rebate program?
Yes, yes. They have same excuse me, rebate. It's $2 per square feet. Um, so you can just apply to that. I think it's on their website.
Okay, thank you. And then next question is how much maintenance is required for a rain garden? Example, how quickly will it become overgrown if not cared for regularly? Is low water equal to low maintenance?
Yeah, actually, rain garden, sorry, it doesn't require any extra maintenance. It's just like the garden itself. Um, just like the rest of the garden, you just put the plants in and then give it irrigation. Um, yes, these are low water plants, but all of them in the first 2 years, you still need to give it irrigation until they are established. So the same as the rain garden plants. You plant them and then you cover them with the pebbles like this. That's to prevent the area from collapsing during rain time. And then that's it. And you program the irrigation. And then that's it. You just can just watch the plants grow up like that. So you can see this rain garden here. There is no extra maintenance for all these plants. They just grow as all these other plants.
Do they have to trim the plant regularly to keep them not overgrown?
Then yes, like these plants, yes, the homeowner they trim them after the flowers are spent. Then yes, that kind of maintenance is required.
I see. Okay, I don't see any question in the chat. But I do have a question. Um, so when they, because from the poll, it seems like a lot of people interested in building their garden, and if they want to start building their own native garden, like how, like when they choose their plant palette, how many percentage should they put in trees? How many percentage should they put in shrubs and like ground cover?
Yeah, that's very it's a personal preference, and it's one of the main piece of work that if you choose to work with a designer, that's when they will help you decide. I would say it's always a good idea to have at least one tree in the garden if you have that kind of space, because trees are so important for us and so important for the biodiversity. And then on top of that, to have a lot of shrubs that can keep the garden look evergreen most of the time, and some perennials and even annuals like the poppies. But yeah, the trees to have trees and shrubs, a lot of shrubs will be a good idea.
Thank you. Okay, next question. Does Scalescape or other website include plans if plants are toxic to people or pets? Do they have the information?
They they don't have that. I don't think they have a dedicated kind of like for all the plants such yeah, they don't. But some plants they might, individual plants they might mention it. So yeah, overall I don't think no. Yeah.
Okay. So do you know, is most does do most of the native plant like toxic to is there any native plant that you recall that are toxic to people or pets?
Um, like buckeye, that's a native tree. Its fruits, it's toxic. The Indians they used to use those, the buckeye, the its fruits to throw them into the river to so that they can get the fish after the the river is polluted with that. So that's if you have dogs, then I will be careful with having a buckeye in like in a very close distance, because its fruits can be toxic. Other than that, I cannot think of too many others. Um, Most of the plants we use for the gardens, they are not. They are safe for the pets.
Okay, thank you. So as long as you don't eat the fruit of Buckeye, then you're safe.
Yeah.
You just have them around.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you. Next question. Won't weeds grow in the winter with lots of rain and seeds blown in from other locations? How do you control weeds?
Sounds like there are two questions, right? Do
Yeah.
you see it from other parts? I would say, since I design mostly native gardens, I would still say yes. I think the chance of the plants from other areas can grow well in winter, because of the rain, really. Because that's the best irrigation you will have. Rains, they are better than the city water. It's not treated. There is no chemical. I would think yes. That will give the same good chance for these plants from other areas. Um, as for the second one, how to control the weeds, there's this method called mulching, where you, instead of removing the grass mechanically, you just use the cardboards or bed sheets or newspaper. You just cover the whole area so that it will kill off the grass that way. And then you put on top of the cardboards, you add at least 3 inches of the mulch. So if you do that, it can control the weed growth for a certain for for at least quite some time. Um, there's no guarantee weeds will still come out, but at least like for the whole area, that's proven to be a relatively effective way for weed control. Actually, there's this other person asked about Fremont. Um, I think the super rebate that East Bay mud, East Bay uh, for the whole East Bay, they the super rebate actually is $2.50 if you do it the she mulching way. So it's yeah, it's effective, and I will encourage you to explore that.
Okay. How often do they have to like redo the sheet mulching? Like if the sheet is decomposed over time, like how long do they have to reapply mulch or reapply sheet to their lawn?
What I heard is not reapply, but when after you've done that, then when the weeds come out, you just take them out constantly so that it doesn't become so bad that you need to redo it again.
Got it. Thank you. Okay, I don't see any questions in the chat. Um, okay, so feel free to ask any question. Um, we still have plenty of time. In the meantime, do you want to share one of your example of your work? Like what kind of native plant did you use, for example, in that example one in Sunnyvale?
Oh, mm. Uh, so this is monkey flower. This orange one, monkey flower. Um, this is epilobium, the California wheat, I think. Yeah, and this is the wild rye, California wild rye. Um, this unfortunately is not native. It's Santa Barbara daisy, although its name calls is called Santa Barbara. It's not from there. um, but as you can see, it blooms all the time, and it's just beautiful for the path. When I was designing the garden, so the homeowner wanted the path to come to this sitting area. So that's the path I designed, and she likes the way that it's flanked by these flowers, and that's how I put the Santa Barbara daisy on both sides. Um, yeah.
That's wonderful. It's so
Mhm.
pretty. Um,
Mhm.
we got another question. Um, what is the name of some colorful native flowers?
You mean plants?
Yeah, like or native plants that have colorful flower when they bloom.
This is called the Lamina verbena. That's one of them. Uh, this one, it only room for a short period of time, so I don't think it's a very good one to plant in large quantity. In small quantity, it's fine. Um, Again, this is monkey flower, mimulus. It has many varieties because it's so beautiful. The nursery have done a lot of work around them and have a lot of like uh, species made from its original. So if you just search monkey flowers, there are a lot of varieties to select from. Um, this is another epilobium, I think. Um, this is yellow. Um, Although this specific one is not native, it's called moonshine yarrow. It's a hybrid between the Egyptian yarrow and some other yarrows. So it's not native to our region, but it's still a yarrow. I will encourage you to use the common yarrow. That's a native with the white flowers. Um, this is this is the red flowered uh, buckwheat. Yeah.
Nice. Thank you. Um, how many how okay, okay, another question. Where should I direct my HOA to go to get more information about gray water use by 2025?
2029. Yeah, you are welcome to contact me really, and I can yeah go through in going go through more details about the regulation and how possibly we can help. So yeah, welcome to send me an email or text me, and we can get connected and go from there.
Yeah, and I'll after this webinar, in the follow-up email, I will share Shelky's contact information in the email. So if you have any question, you can feel free to email her. And about the gray water, Valley Water also have a gray water rebate program, which the rebate amount is $200. So you can go to Valley Water's website to get more information. And if you have any question, you can always call Valley Water.
Yeah, I'm a qualified pro for gray water installation, so I can happy to answer those questions as well.
Okay. Thank you, BK. Thank you for attending. He said I have. Um, he said it's very good information. And thank you, Shelky. So
Thank you.
thank you. I don't see any questions in the chat, and also I don't see any hand raised. So um, we can call it a day. But thank you so much, everyone, for coming. Thank you, Shelky, for the wonderful presentation and all the pretty design for your work. Um, so if you're interested in Shelky's work, you can go to her website, waterefficientgardens.com, to look for her work, and then I'll put her contact in the follow-up email. So thank you so much. Have a great rest of your night.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shelky.